Minnesota car salesman Jerry Lundgaard's inept crime falls terribly apart due to his and his hired henchman's bungling attempt to fake kidnapping his wife for ransom money provided by her stern and wealthy father. On the tail of the crime is a very pregnant Marge Gunderson, whose stealthy and persistent police work follows the clues tirelessly to unravel the crazy circumstances of a triple homicide.
I saw this movie years ago. Again, a lot of these movies I saw at a different time, different age, so you have a different perspective now looking at this from a reviewer's point of view. It's a little bit different. But when you dig deep into the movie and the framing and the cinematography and the storyline, then you wait a minute, this is a kick-ass movie. This is really something that was out of the norm.
I want to give it a 10. Okay. But I saw this 1,000 years ago, you know, because I'm not 20. I saw this in the theaters. And I thought at the time, I didn't like it as much as I did reviewing it now. And I would have given it a lesser score. But now with all the kick-ass women in movies and the messaging and every woman gets a scar and she jumps off the top of a building and all, and actually the studios are suffering because they're making women more to the forefront of men anymore. It's like a politically thing too. Everybody write in, I don't care. But the thing is I watched it now and the main character, which we will get into, Marge Gunderson, is such a great written character in a subtle way that she's so strong, but yet sweet and feminine too. I mean, God, these are real classics, and this is becoming stronger the older it gets.
Today's classic cinema cocktail sip is the Brandy Old Fashioned Minnesota style. Take a look, folks. A Midwest classic, the Korbel Brandy Old Fashioned, with Korbel's signature flavor of warm vanilla and spice. This Old Fashioned brings the warmth and authenticity, perfectly balancing the dark humor and cold landscape, sure to transport you right into the heart of Fargo's world. Korbel Brandy is used because brandy in that region from Korbel was very popular. Has been popular for many years. Matter of fact, in Wisconsin, it's considered the state's adopted brandy. It's very economical, and it's we're going to find out if it's tasty. You also include 1 sugar cube, 2 to 3 dashes of bitters, splash of club soda, and an orange slice and cherry for garnish. And Debbie's falling apart. You ate it? You ate my cherry? Or you ate your cherry? That's a feat. Let's not put that on camera, folks. Maybe we should. We get our ratings to go up.
70 years old. You kidding me?
Here we go, folks.
Oh my God!
Korbel.
Holy cow!
Old Brandy Old Fashioned.
Oh my God!
Whoa!
Holy cow! I'm eating the orange, so that's it.
This is gonna warm me up. If it's not the fireplace, it's gonna be this, folks.
That freaking drink. My eye went nuts again. It's fluttering.
So normally, an old fashioned will have whiskey, but because it's Minnesota style, we added brandy. What do you like? The Godfather?
No, I have to.
Marlon Brando?
I have to get the taste out of my mouth.
1, 2, 3, and flip! Wow!
Well,
see, this is going to be an interesting discussion. Yeah. Because mine was going to be a 9.
Right.
And I'll tell you why as we get into this movie, why it flipped to a 10.
Right. The way the movie opens with the starkness of the terrain and the music by Carter Burwell, I believe that's his name, Carter Burwell. He's a very, very unbelievably underrated score musician. And he did tons of scores, really great, but it's so desolate, it really leads you into it. That's like a crossover in a narrative film and a documentary, but it's so stark that it sets the pace for the simplicity of really the people. And you know, I mean, he's a big shot. Bill Macy's Gunderson, he's a car salesman, but he's also the manager. But that was like a big deal because their life is so simple. It's not like being in New York City or LA. They're in the Midwest.
Right.
And it just set the stage for the mystery and what was about to happen.
So let me talk about Marge, because you mentioned Marge. Now here is a character that's not your typical hero. She's simple, but she's smart. And if you also notice, the scenes with her and her husband. And those scenes are the ones I love the most because it's very simple, they're happy. And if you notice the framing of each of their shots when they are shown together, they're always together. They're always paying attention to each other, whether they're in bed in the opening scene that when we meet Marge for the first time, she learns about this murder. She's called and then she's getting up and husband's like, I'll make you eggs. I'll make you some eggs. Oh, no, it's okay, honey. I'll make you some eggs. Following that, they're in the kitchen and there's this one frame shot where both of them, again, they're both in the scene and Marge is now finished with her eggs and they're both eating together. She gets up and woof, she's pregnant. Like you didn't know that when you first saw her. So now another element of interest comes into play. She walks out the door. Again, she's still in the shot. She goes to the car can't start because it needs to be jumped. It's too cold. Yeah. So she comes back in. The cleverness of the cinematography is that they always stay together, always paying attention to each other. Even later on when they're in, now she's a police chief, when she goes to her office and one of her subordinates comes in to talk to her, her husband is looking at her and knows that there's someone that walked in, but doesn't pay any attention to that person, just keeps eating, but his sole focus is her. When they're at the buffet table, they're together, they're eating together. You never see them separate, which contrasts Bill Macy's character, Jerry, and Jean, where if you look at the framing of those shots, in one shot, Jerry's looking one way, his wife's behind, kind of like out of focus and kind of like disappearing in the background. You don't see them together a lot. If they're together, they're not always facing each other and looking at each other. So immediately you're drawn in. I thought the people were really weird. And almost to the point where I thought they were fictional, that these are just like comedy caricatures of real dumb and dopey and simple people.
Oh my God.
And I'm thinking,
those people.
I didn't think they really existed. And I'm watching it, I'm like, oh wow, this is a great fictional movie, but it's not fictional because they said it wasn't fictional.
Now,
They said
go
it
to
was
one
fact.
of the state fairs out there and walk around. You'll see, they weren't raised in the New York metro area. So, these people, the church dinner and the clubs that they join, and that's the way they live. It's kind of simplistic.
And it's part of that Minnesota nice that they talked about, that they're overly nice, but sarcastically nice at the same time, almost like a phony nice.
Yeah.
There's a great discussion about this in one of the blogs that I read, that you can't think of a Minnesota nice person as a really nice person. They're just overly nice. And in some respects, maybe they're being a little sarcastic underneath that, or maybe they're hiding their true emotions. Again, you're talking about people that emigrated from Scandinavia into this region with a different philosophy, a different culture. So for someone from the East Coast, from the New Jersey, New York area, you're looking at this like, what the hell's wrong with these people? This is not true.
Right.
So for me, watching it, what caught me like surprised, like, yeah, this is bullshit, because people like that don't exist. But they do. The
most famous that everybody remembers the Stark thing, was the wood chipper scene. I mean, the wood chipper scene is like, wow, that was really too much. And when you looked at that, it looked a little kind of unrealistic.
Right. It did look kind of like phony, but funny, but serious too. Like you kind of believed it, but you didn't believe it.
Well, their Coen brothers do a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff, like Raising Arizona, different things. They make it kind of like black comedy funny. Like, I believe they did Blood Simple too. Didn't they just start with Blood Simple? But they have this dark way about them.
Yeah, dark way, so great that when we did the review of Gangs in New York, that sucked. But not a good Coen movie, I would say. But watch that episode and find out why we say that.
Right, and Frances McDormand wanted this movie, and of course she's married to one of the Coens.
I wonder how she got the movie.
But she said it was the best gift she was ever given in her life to get this role, because it made her. I mean, it was a wonderful role. And you can think, in one hand, how many fantastic women roles where they're strong and soft at the same time. And at the end of the movie, the great thing is her husband does get on a 3-cent stamp, and she makes it seem like it's like he won, the Pulitzer Prize. That's how supportive she is. It's a great character.
I love Steve Buscemi. I think he's a great character actor.
I think everybody does.
Sopranos, Boardwalk Empire. I mean, those are the two that I like. He's not only acts so well, but he has such an interesting look. Matter of fact, in the movie, when they were trying to investigate, they're asking, Marge was asking some of the people, like, describe him. And they used this Cree phrase. Funny looking one. Yeah, funny looking guy. Like, no one could describe him otherwise, but that's what he is. But yeah, he plays this character so well. Matter of fact, you can see the difference between him and Jerry. Although they're both criminals, they're both scummy, they are pretty much after the same thing, money. Jerry with trying to, I guess, cover up his, I guess he embezzled funds from GMAC.
Well, he had a scheme
right.
to make money, and he didn't know how to get the money.
Right.
And ultimately, he asked her father, his wife's father, who was going to give him the money, but he wants control of the situation.
Right. But you notice that the amounts kept on going up. So he was going to give $80,000 to the two guys to kidnap his wife. Like, what kind of scumbag gives up his wife for $80,000 just to, take her and kidnap her? But then he needs the $300,000 plus to cover up GMAC, trying to figure out, wait a minute, do you actually have these cars?
In the lot? There's one car missing in the lot, and that's what brings the whole thing kind of to a head.
Right. But then he asks his father-in-law for $1 million to get his daughter back.
But I don't see William Macy as a scumbag. I see him as like a little mouse that's running around and the cat's chasing it. So he, ultimately, I think, thought, this is it. This is bad. I got to get out of here. And he needed enough money to fly the coop as the murders pile up, and he knows that as nice and as sweet as she is, Marge Gunderson is on his trail.
In a very subtle, methodic way, when you just...
Because the other police chalk it up to just that they would have buried it. They thought it was solved. But she knows. But she does it in such a soft, cool way. And the way when she goes at the end of the cabin, and she's this big 9-month pregnant thing walking through snow this deep with boots on, with criminals that have murdered people, what a courageous part it is. It's just such a well-written female part. Oh, and then one thing about Steve Buscemi, did you know what he did before he was an actor?
No.
This is really interesting. He was a fireman in New York City.
You know what? That kind of makes sense.
And when 9/11 happened, he went to where he used to be in his, his department or his squad or whatever, and he helped them.
I am Paul Bunyan. If you remember the scene where they enter...
Holy cow.
Enter Brainerd. Welcome to Brainerd with a 26-foot tall Paul Bunyan. Now,
I don't want you mad at me with that thing.
She's talking while I'm talking again. It's going to screw me up. Darren's going to go nuts. So we have to redo this again. If you recall in the Welcome to Brainerd scene, there's a big 26-foot statue of Paul Bunyan. It really doesn't exist. They made it for the movie, although there are other ones around in other states. So I brought my axe. I brought my glasses. Although when I put my glasses, I kind of look like Where's Waldo?
You do.
I know where I am because my hat says Bold Media Films. Ta-da!
Well, anyway, I'm Marge Gunderson, and I'm sweating, but I'm okay because I don't get too sweaty, Joe. I really don't. Only my nose sweats.
Marge, you're not showing your pregnancy, I will say. You do look good for 9 months.
Well, thank you.
That was a compliment, Dad. That was a compliment. I could have went the other way with that joke,
anyway,
folks. I didn't.
I've got a lot of mileage out of this hat.
And if you want to comment below, if you remember where that hat was last seen, what episode of the Real Watchlist Plus was seen, we'll give you a shout out. This is going to be an easy one, Deb. Quick and easy. Some shots during the kidnapping scene, if you remember when Jean gets kidnapped.
Oh, yes. Very well.
Such as breaking down the door when she runs to the bathroom and Gare breaks down the door, are a tribute to what?
Oh, The Shining.
Very good! Debbie got it right! Damn! Here's one for the audience. It's not so much a trivia question, but yeah, that kind of is. It sort of transcends into other things. What happened to the money? Carl buries the money with the scraper, but ultimately, what happens with the money?
Number 1, A Simple Plan from 1998. 3 blue-collar acquaintances come across millions of dollars in lost cash and make a plan to keep their find from the authorities, but it isn't long before complications and mistrust weave their way into the plan. Now, sometimes my watch list, Joe, is akin to the type of movies we're seeing, or it could be a thread with an actor. This is kind of like that type of hyper, thing that goes crazy. And it had Billy Bob Thornton and Bill Paxton, untimely death. I think we talked about him one time before he passed away. All right, number 2, The Big Lebowski, 1998, starring Jeff Bridges and John Goodman, and again, Steve Buscemi. Jeff the Dude Lebowski, mistaken for a millionaire of the same name, seeks resolution for his ruined carpet and enlists his bowling buddies to help him get it. It is a huge cult film. Number 3, Burn After Reading. It stars Brad Pitt, George Clooney, and the wonderful John Malkovich. It's also written and directed by Joel and Ethan Coen, another Coen brothers film. And here we have Frances McDormand again, because of course they cast her a lot because she was married to one of the Coens. A dark comedy about a disc containing mysterious information from a CIA agent ends up in the hands of 2 unscrupulous and clueless gym employees who attempt to sell it. Number 4. Here's an oldie, Double Indemnity from 1944. A Los Angeles insurance representative is seduced by an alluring housewife into a scheme of insurance fraud and murder that arouses the suspicions of his colleague and claims investigator. And last, and maybe least on this list, is Get Shorty from 1995.
Love that movie.
It stars John Travolta before he got weird. Now he's kind of weird. A mobster he looks different. He's not, yeah. A mobster travels to Hollywood to collect a debt and discovers that the movie business is much the same as his current job. It was written by Elmore Leonard, a very, very popular author, and that is my watch list.
Why did we vote the way we did? I liked it watching it because I thought it was a good movie, but again, would I see it again? Now learning more about it, learning more about the depth and the way that the Coen brothers and the cinematographer and the characters, the actors sort of interplayed with each other to create not only a unique story, but one you believed, only to later find out that it wasn't true, sold me.
I would have probably given it, I wasn't like in love with it, probably like a 7, but as I've been a film critic for so long and starting to really look at and I made films too. I mean, I'm nothing of caliber like this, but when you make movies, you're on festivals, you see tons of movies, you realize that it is such a great achievement that I didn't see the first time I watched it. This is really, really good. So I gave it a 9. I upped it because I look at it with a more discerning eye now. Discerning eye.
She just gave me the whammy, folks. She gave me the evil eye. Unfortunately, it doesn't work because she's not Italian, so...
No, I'm Swiss.
So I'll quote Marge Gunderson.
Okay.
When she said, "For what? A little bit of money?
Ka-ching.
And it's a beautiful day. I just don't understand it. Do you understand it? Do you know what we're going to do next?"
I know one thing. I know I'm getting away from the fire with these heavy clothes on. So I know we never know where we're going till we go there, but I'm going to a cooler place right now, Joe.